Hi class, in our next section, we're going to look at using streams. Streams are just continuous bytes of data, information that we can process using existing methods available in C#. So we can process file streams like text files, streams in memory, buffered, compressed streams, and secure socket layer streams. So all of these different streams work in the same way. They all implement iDisposable. So they have a dispose method to release unmanaged resources, and we'll take a look at that as we work with these resources. First of all, when we're working with different streams, we have different actions that we can take with them. We can determine if they've been allocated in a way to allow us to read from them and write to them, the total length of the file or stream, and where we might be within that given stream. The dispose method again to release resources. The flush method to release any memory resources that might be associated or push them out to the file. We can read information from our file, or we can read just the next byte from our file. We can seek to go to a specific position, just like we would seek on a DVD drive, and we can write information to our files. Now we need to be having access to the system I/O namespace so that we have access to the file stream and memory stream class. If we're reading a stream from a network, we may need access to the system.net.sockets namespace. Some additional namespaces that might be important to us: the security cryptography, I/O compression, and network security. For our basic startup project, we're going to use the StreamReader and StreamWriter, so we'll be able to use our system.io. Let's create this project. I'm going to open Visual Studio. Actually, I have it open, so I'm going to close the solution that I currently have open, and I'm going to create a new project. I want this project to be a console app, and I have some different choices here. I can search console in my search bar of my template search. And I could do a console app that's .NET Core or .NET Framework. For a console app, it shouldn't make much difference. I'll choose .NET Framework, and this is going to be working with streams, and we're going to add it to our Chapter 9 folder, but since we're using our TFS workspace, we'll just save it in our local workspace area and then create this project. Once I create the project, I'll go ahead and right-click on my solution and add this solution to source control. And then I will be ready to check it in when I'm done writing my code. It's gone through that process, and I see my icons. For this project, I want to create an array of string values. We're going to need to import our system.io. And system.xml. And then they ask us to statically import the system.console, system.environment, system.io.path. That should be all of the imports that we need, all of our using statements. And we're going to create an array of string values. I'm going to put those right at my class level. It's going to be a static string array called call signs. And we're going to fill this new string array with some entries. And the first entry is Oscar. Starbuck. Apollo. Boomer. Bulldog. Athena. Hilo. And Racetrack. Those are all of our entries for our new array of strings. Let's create a method to process those. We'll call it work with text. And in our new method, we'd like to, first of all, define a file to write to. And then we're going to set up that as a string. So we want to use the current directory, which is our project folder. And we're going to create a file named streams.txt within that project folder. I need to close my parentheses there. So notice that combine function is going to take our current directory, which is our project folder, and add streams.txt as the file name, and that complete path will be the location of our text file. Let's create the text file and return a helper writer task. So I'm going to implement a StreamWriter. We'll name our file text, and we're going to use the file class to create a text file. And we want that file location and name to be that of our text file object. Now we're going to process each of the items in our strings array. So each string is going to be written out to our text file on its own separate line. So our for each command to enumerate through the array is going to refer to each array entry as items from our call signs collection. Now in our for each loop for our text file, we want to write a line using the information in the item from our for each loop. After we've completed processing all of the items with our for each loop, we'll use the close method of our text file object to release its resources. Now we can use a Writeline to output some information about our file. We'll make this an interpolated string and say we're going to output our text file information. Contains Now, for the contains information, I'm going to use the file info method on our text file to find out the length of the file. And I'd like to format that as numeric with 0 decimal places. I'm going to need that new keyword there. So we have to actually create a file info object based on our text file to get that length parameter. So we'll do that in our Writeline statement. Now in our main class, all we want to do is call our method work with text. And we can run this. And we don't have any input or output to our work with text project. So let's go take a look at our project folder. I'll right click on the solution and choose Open Folder in File Explorer. I'm going to navigate into the project folder, the bin folder, debug, and sure enough, within my debug folder, besides finding the executable for my project, I find our new text file. Let's open that. And it's open for me in Notepad, and you can see that indeed we've written an individual text line out to our text file for each of the entries in our array. Success! Yay! So that's how we can write to a file. Notice that we had to use a looping structure, or for each, to write each individual entry out to the file. When we did our StreamWriter command, we actually set up our file at that point and opened it. In our for each command, we wrote lines to it, and then after we were done, we made sure to close our file to release all of the resources. So that's a great example for us. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and check this in to TFS. And I should see all of my information being properly transferred to TFS. So that's a good place for us to stop for this video. Thanks.